it's Marla at Narrate. To help celebrate Mother's Day, we had the privilege of hearing messages from 3 different moms, Heather Zalewski, Jessica Fisher, and Tiffany Bushilla. Heather, a local child psychiatrist, shares what really matters as we walk the journey of raising our kids. Jessica, a 5th grade teacher, shares about how we help our children become who they were created to be. And Tiffany, a Montessori teacher, shares what helped her decision in stepping in as the Narrate Kids leader. Enjoy the messages.
In honor of Mother's Day and parents, we have a really special treat for you this morning. We get to hear from 3 amazing women and moms, all of whom are very much owners here at Narrate. They will each spend 9 minutes answering one question. So we asked them all a different question ahead of time, specific to their profession and their life experiences. And this morning, we get to hear their thoughts and words of wisdom on that question. So to kick off the morning, we have Heather Zalewski. She is a child psychiatrist and mother of 3, and we get to hear her professional insight into what truly matters when raising kids. So Heather, I turn the stage to you.
Thank you, Hannah. Good morning. I'm Heather Zalewski. I'm a child psychiatrist. I've been practicing at Shodair Children's Hospital here in Helena for about 10 years. I've also been a practicing parent for close to 20 years, and I can tell you guys that most days I feel like I still have a lot to learn for both jobs, which I think speaks a little bit to the complexity of raising children. But today I'm going to try to focus on 3 things that I think really matter raising kids. So just to put it right out there to begin with, pick your battles, pick up your fork, and put down your phone. So we're going to drill down a little bit into each of those, but when you're raising kids, it does truly matter like what stage your child's in, what age they are. That's going to determine their developmental task and what's most important for you as a parent in terms of meeting them. So to explain that further, I'm going to rely on Dr. Eric Erickson. He is a psychologist, and he's come up with this theory of psychosocial development. It does span the lifespan. We're going to stick to the bottom few rows. But so it starts with babies. So for a baby, they need to learn, is the world a safe place? Can I trust that my needs will be met? So even though being the mother of a small child or father of an infant is exhausting, at least the task ahead of you is pretty straightforward. Love your baby. Your baby's hungry, feed your baby. Your baby cries, pick up your baby. You can't spoil a baby. So that part at least is pretty simple. Then we get into the toddler and preschool years, and things get a little more complicated. Kids start testing the limits of their independence, and our job as parents is to keep them safe. So when your kid is rebelling a little bit in their toddler way, ask yourself, is this a safety concern? So if your 2-year-old's about to dart out into the street, by all means, set a limit, be a parent, keep them safe. But if it's more a matter of your preschooler wants to wear the same beautiful dress to school every day, well, let them, right? Wash it on the weekends. Who cares? So that's the pick your battle part. This is also where the importance of the family meal comes in. So when I started researching this, when Adam asked me to speak here back in, I think it was March, I knew that the family meal thing was important, but I was really impressed at the breadth and depth of the research that supports this. So if you're interested, you can go to thefamilydinnerproject.org, and they have all sorts of great links to literature and research and just practical tips for how to make this happen. So as it turns out, so why eat with your toddler, right? It's actually very, very important to sit down and eat with your toddler. It's actually even more important than reading to them every night. Now, I love books. I'm not against reading, but the fact is that research shows that dinner time conversation with toddlers exposes them to 10 times more rare words than does reading a bedtime story. And those rare words, which are words beyond the most common 3,000 words, that's what's really linked to language development. So put another way, toddlers who ate with their families at least 5 times a week showed 6 times more rare words in conversation than did toddlers who rarely ate with their families. So, super important. Okay, then we move into the school years, and parents get a little bit of a break because really development at this point is focused on school and being a successful student. But let's think about it. How guilty do we feel if we don't get our kids to do their homework every night, right? Well, as it turns out, again, looking at the research, eating a family meal is more strongly correlated with later academic success than is homework completion. Sorry, teachers out there, but it's true. So that's what the research shows us. So sit down, eat with your kids. All right, then we move into the teenage years, and this is where things get complicated, okay? Because the developmental task that teenagers have to deal with is to separate, individuate, and form their own identity. So this is really complicated stuff. And as parents, it kind of pulls us in two different directions because on the one hand, you have to let your kid rebel. They have to spark against you in some way because they need to step away from the very people that have been at the center of their lives for their entire existence. So again, similar to toddler years, ask yourself, is this a safety concern? I mean, if your teenager is going to do something unsafe, by all means, you need to stop them. Super important. But if it's more like, I want to color my hair 6 different shades of purple, or I want to get my belly button pierced, well, who cares, okay? Those things are all reversible. So that's on the one hand. On the other hand, kids really still do need their parents when they're teenagers. They need to talk to you. Just because they can drive themselves home from soccer practice or they can go hang out over at their friend's house, it doesn't mean they don't still really need you there. And I also feel like our culture tends to let kids go too young. I feel like 18-year-olds are not ready to successfully adult. And to back it up, I have a little bit of neuroscience here, okay? These are brain images of the brain as it develops throughout the years. And in order to be fully developed, fully on track, you need to have all of the purpley periwinkle kind of color. And you can see, even at age 20, we're not all there. And the very last part of the brain to develop is the frontal lobes. And those are the part of the brain that are responsible for organization, planning, we call it executive functioning, deferring rewards, and all the things that you need to do to successfully adult. So, neuroscience says your kids still need you beyond their 18th birthday. So, and I also feel that way. Okay, so I probably sound like I'm contradicting myself, right? Like on the one hand, your kid needs to rebel. On the other hand, you need to keep them close. Well, that's because raising kids is a contradiction. Let's think about it. There is no other relationship that we'll have in life where the goal is to get the other person to leave, right? We can all agree nobody wants their unemployed 37-year-old at home in the basement wishing off their Wi-Fi. So we have to do something to get our kids to leave safely. But this is where, you know, those family dinners that you've been having 5 days a week since your kid was in diapers, this is where it really pays off, okay? There's an incredible amount of research to show that kids who eat regularly with their families have all of these benefits. Half as likely to use drugs and alcohol, twice as likely to get good grades, less likely to be depressed or feel suicidal, less likely to engage in unsafe sex, and more likely to report good communication and positive relationship with their parents. So huge benefits to the family meal for teenagers. So now let's just take a minute to talk about how to make this happen, right? Because probably some of you out there are feeling like, okay, great, here's another parenting mandate that we need to fit into our busy schedules. Well, the reality is you can totally keep it simple, okay? Nobody's expecting organic arugula prepared 3 ways like you're on Chopped or something, okay? Like, heat up a pizza, get Costco chicken, it's all good. Meal prep service, which does deliver to Helena, I can vouch, right? Like Home Chef or Blue Apron, those are great options. Load up on the weekends, okay? I mean, everybody's busy during the week, right? But you can have a great family breakfast and a family dinner. You do that Saturday and Sunday, you've got 4 meals out of the way. And then short and sweet is okay. The family meal that most researchers are referring to lasts about 15 or 20 minutes. So not a huge investment in time. All right, now there is one thing that you need to absolutely not do during the family meal, and that is have your phone out. Okay, this is the worst thing you can do. You do this and you have just negated all of the benefits of the family meal. Even having the TV on in the background is detrimental. So imagine what happens when everybody's doing this. Research in this area is just beginning, but already they're showing that even just having your phone at the table, even if you don't look at it, impairs the quality of interaction. So please, keep dinner a screen-free zone. Your kids may not appreciate it in the short term, but I guarantee they will in the long term. So in closing, I would like to just show this lovely quote by Erik Erikson and just say to you that although raising kids is probably the hardest thing you'll ever do, I'm willing to put it out there that if you do it right, they'll still come home every now and then and join you for dinner. Thank you.
So pick up your fork and put down your phone. I think there's something so valuable about sitting across the table from someone and just sharing a meal. So thank you, Heather. What a great start to the morning. Next up, we have Jessica Fisher. Jess is a 5th grade teacher at Bryan Elementary and a mom to 2 teenage boys. And this morning, she's going to answer the question, how do we help children become who they were created to be? So Jess, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I have, like Hannah said, 2 teenage boys. Isaac is 18 and will be graduating in a couple weeks. I am very much proud of him, but very much not looking forward to him leaving our house and heading out on this journey. Jonah is 16 and is a sophomore at Helena High. These pictures on the board here are pictures we have hundreds of like this in our house in boxes, wishing they were in photo albums. And when I look at these pictures, the one common note there is that I hate snakes. I really, from the depths of my being, hate snakes. There is no creature on this earth that I would less rather run into than a snake. We have a pet snake. We have had a pet snake for 13 years. We got that snake when Isaac was 5 and Jonah was 3. Isaac, for a solid year, every single day, Mommy, please, can I have a snake? You know how much I love reptiles. It'll be so good for me to learn how to take care of it. All these things every single day. Please, Mommy, no, we are never getting a snake. It got to the point where Isaac researched in books he checked out from the library. He wrote a full-color, double-sided, illustrated brochure about how to care for snakes and how he could do it without me having to do anything. We got a pet snake. That's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Not the benefits of having a pet snake, because there are none, but about just the value in diving into your kid's life. So my question, like Hannah said, is right there. How do we help our children to become who they were created to be? So before I had kids and as they were little and growing and becoming, I just had all these thoughts of, oh man, maybe they're going to be this or this or this, and seeing their potential arise, whether it was academic potential or science passion with Isaac or athletic potential, whatever it was, you start kind of getting carried away with the future, where this is going to get. And I just want to encourage you to kind of pull back from that. Let this be your kids' path. We have our path through life, and our kids come off of that path, but just remind yourself that their path is not ours, and we have the tremendous privilege of going along that path with them, but letting them lead through their passions and interests. I try to reflect on a regular basis and just reflect on this bottom question of, are we letting our children become who they were made to be or who we think they should be? And it's just kind of a constant recentering for me, making sure that they're getting to figure that out on their own, and that I'm there to support them, and I'm there to let them know that I'm there. As my boys have grown up, their passions and interests have certainly changed and grown as they have grown. Isaac, when he was 2, fell deeply in love with dinosaurs. For 1.5 to 2 solid years, we did nothing but read every single book in the library about dinosaurs. I wanted so much to read like Dr. Seuss, Marie Sendak, and A. Milne, but instead we checked out nonfiction book after nonfiction book after nonfiction book about lambeosauruses and ichthyosaurus and all these dinosaurs I didn't even know existed. And I think I could, if I went on a trivia show about dinosaurs, I would rock it. So I didn't care about dinosaurs. I didn't want to learn about dinosaurs, but that's where Isaac was at. And so in those moments in your parenting, just stop and let their passions become something you get to learn with them and grow with them in that, and just step back. As he's gotten older, it's so cool to see how these little bits of Isaac have molded and come together to form who he is now. When he was 2, he was not Isaac. He was Isaac the T-Rex. He would correct us if we said Isaac. I was Pata for Patasaurus. Clint was Triceratops. Jonah was Compsa, because Compsognathus are chicken-sized dinosaurs, and he wasn't overly fond of his little brother at that point in time. That's all we did was dinosaurs. That changed into a passion and love for reptiles, which is where the snake came in. And just the love of biology and outside and outdoors we have caught, I don't know, tens of thousands of frogs. They have caught lots of snakes. I have not touched snakes. I take pictures of them. But thousands of frogs in their childhood and just been outside fishing. I have pictures of Isaac fishing with Daddy when he was like 3 years old. And if you've ever met my child or seen him or heard of him, you know that he loves to fly fish. And that is his deep passion in life, is fly fishing and art. And it's just been so cool to see how those moments of interest and passion throughout his life, allowing him to dive into those instead of saying, no, we're going to go this way. I think we should do this instead, just to step back and see how those have taken him where he is today. For Jonah, it's always been vehicles. He has loved cars since before he could crawl. It was Hot Wheels at the time, and he would lay on the floor and just drive him around the floor. We had a car rug that he would play on for hours a day, and he would ask me to play with him. And as much as I could, I would just sit on that rug and play cars and be told by Jonah that I wasn't quite doing it right, and that car would actually drive this way, and this car wouldn't go that fast because it didn't have the right kind of engine. And we would play cars until my legs would fall asleep and I could no longer stand up. That modified to model cars. He still has a pretty extensive collection of model cars. He learned how to ride his bike when he was 6. We took Isaac quite a long time to ride his bike. So as soon as Isaac learned, we took the training wheels off Jonah's bike. I told Clint, I'm just going to start today because it's going to be like a year. And within 45 minutes, Jonah was flying down 6th Avenue going, Jonah jet, Jonah jet, Jonah jet, as fast as he could. And that's just Jonah. Like, he's always loved vehicles and going and moving. And there were lots of times where I was like, God, just keep him alive. Just keep him alive. But diving into that and embracing that love of all things wheeled has been such a powerful point in our relationship. And it's so cool how that's manifesting itself on his desire now to be a mechanical engineer. He has his own Volvo, and he's talking about all the mods he's going to make to that and all the things he's going to do to make it better. And in all those things all along the way, like, it's just been my goal, I guess, and my intention to just dive in with them and just listen and care and do what they're doing and value what they're doing. So we've also, as a family, been very intentional about camping and fishing and sledding and skiing and doing all those things that throughout their life, whatever age they were at, we could still do them as a family. We can still do them as they get older. Maybe not that so much. That would hurt, actually, a lot at this point in time. But also through their passions and interests, just remind yourself to do with and not just do to. There's so much instruction and so much direction and so much guidance in being a parent, but just make sure you pause and just do with kids. And if you're not a parent, or you're not a parent yet, or your kids are out of the house, just remember when you're with kids, whether it's in Narrate Kids or at school or at your job or on the streets, just take a moment and just value kids. There's so much value in just being known and seen and communicating that you matter. No matter what you do or what your interests are or what your passions are, you matter to me, and I'm always going to be there. So wherever you're at with kids, like, that's something to just make sure you make those connections. Those connections have gotten us through the teenage years pretty well. My kids are pretty phenomenal, and I'm very, very blessed to have the children I have. But still, teenage is hard, and it's tough, and it's scary. And I think those connections that we've made throughout their years, from when they were little till now, that's what's gotten us through the tough times. That's what's made it so we could talk, even when things were tough, or even when they were struggling. So those moments where the struggle is the greatest, I think that's where I look back on my entire breadth of being a mom and go, I'm so thankful that I got those moments of connection, because now they really, really matter. And it's just so powerful to see my kids becoming these humans that I got to be a part of their path to that, on that journey. And so what a gift it is. So happy Mother's Day to all of you out there. And then I just want to end with this quote. I actually was researching online. I'm a big quotes person. I have lots of quotes up on my classroom walls. And this is actually a Helena native. It just happened to come up in my Google search. And this is, I guess, where I hope that my children will get to be, and where when they look back on their childhood, this is what they'll look at. Because of you, I can feel myself slowly but surely becoming the me I have always dreamed of being. So whatever your interaction is with kids, I just encourage you to just stop and just dive into what they love and make them know that you're there and they matter. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
I love that line in there. There is value in being known. That is so good. Thanks, Jess. Last but certainly not least, we get to hear from Tiffany Bushilla. She is currently a teacher at Bloom Montessori and mom to 3 fantastic little girls. I see they're right there. Hi, girls. If you are unaware, Tiffany has recently been hired as the new Narrate Kids director, and we're so thankful to Kelsey and her leadership over this past year, and we're really excited to see where Tiffany will lead us, and she'll take the reins in that role this summer. So this morning, we get to listen to Tiffany answer the question, why Narrate Kids? Thanks, Tiffany.
Yeah, thanks, Hannah. So I'm Tiffany, and yes, my girls, I think there's a picture of them, which they were super excited about. They announced to everybody they're going to be on the big screen this morning. So they wanted to be here so they could see themselves on the big screen. So that's a perfect picture of who they are. So Isley is our oldest. She's in the middle. She's 8. And then we have twins, Harper and Reagan, and they are 6. And they're really excited. I don't know if they were more excited to see Miss Jessica up here or me, because like when Jessica came up, they're like, oh, she's here. And they were so thrilled. But they definitely bring life and energy into every moment of my being. And so I'm so thankful for them and for just how blessed I am to be their mom. I also have to say that I feel like, the challenges of being a mom are overwhelming at times. And if I didn't say thank you to my husband as well, I don't think I'd be like the mom that I am or a good mom without him. So my husband, Zach, we've been married for 10 years. So thank you to him as well. And to all the moms that are a part of my life. I mean, I feel like I am really blessed to be surrounded by a lot of women who are really encouraging, really supportive, and that I, just try to learn from all the time. So following these 2 women, I'm like, oh, good, there's still hope yet for my children. Like, I can take this information and use that, and I haven't messed them up too bad. But earlier, I was saying that we have just about, we're at our wit's end right now with the family dinner thing. And now I feel like I could have made the best collage of images of our family meals, and that might encourage some of you to keep going, because if you saw how my kids eat at the table, like the dinosaur images and stuff, was like, maybe that's what they're doing, like emulating being dinosaurs. But we've just about, we're at that point of, I don't know if we can keep doing this. And so now I am re-encouraged to yes, keep doing it, even if they are standing next to me and eating, or showing me gymnastics tricks while they're eating, to just smile through it and just realize that's who they are. So yes, that's who they are. And my day is spent mostly doing a lot of that with 2- and 3-year-olds. So I have a class of 22 2- and 3-year-olds. And they are amazing and wonderful and very busy. And so I'm constantly moving and always, a lot of them call me mom. And so I feel like I am mom all the time throughout the day. And then when I get to pick up my kids and spend time with them. And so I love children, and I love serving the kids that I work with and their families, and feel just really overall blessed in what I get to do every day. I feel like a lot of that stems from my mom, who was here in the last gathering. She was a single parent, and she was amazing. She was a great model of serving, always putting somebody else first. She always put us first. And from a young age, we always volunteered, and she kind of shared with us the importance of serving. And so I feel like every time I've had a job or an opportunity to volunteer, that's what I've wanted to do, is to serve others. And so kind of jumping back 5 years, we were 2 parents that were exhausted with a 2.5-year-old and twins that were 1. And we were looking for a new church. And so some friends suggested that we come check out Narrate, and we came and thought this could be interesting, because we knew how our lives were and how exhausting it was with the twins, but we also knew that they had never been in the care of somebody else before. And so we walked in, and Davey and Courtney, who were here at the time, who I keep mentioning because they're awesome, they just looked at us and probably could see that look, And we said, like, okay, we're going to give this a shot. Here you go. And of course, the twins were like, what are you doing? You can't just leave us here. But Davy and Courtney were like, we've got this. It's good. Just you guys go. And so we dropped off Isley and dropped off the twins and came and sat down, and probably hadn't sat down together and taken an hour for a very long time. So it was a much needed, like, breath of fresh air, a time to kind of regroup, and they made it through, and we made it through, and Davey and Courtney made it through. So we were like, this is good. Like, this is a good indication that they've got things going on here at Narrate Kids, and we can do this. And it was amazing. It was an amazing support system for us as a family, and a young family with little kids. But also, our kids quickly took ownership of Narrate Kids. They looked forward to coming. I mean, I was actually thinking today when I was downstairs, like, remembering the potty training, year. And we did cloth diapers, which they also were okay with downstairs, which is like another thing that I was like, why did we do that to them? But remembering, like, watching Davy, like, walk our two girls into the bathroom and, like, drop them off to try to let them do their thing while they were trying to potty train. And I just had these images this morning of, like, how that seems like a lifetime ago. But just, like, all those little steps along the way, like, Narrate Kids has been a big part of that. And so when I heard about the opportunity for a Narrate Kids director, it just seemed like a natural place for me to go. I mean, I love teaching. I love being with kids. My kids love Narrate Kids, and that is a big part of our family. And so it just seemed like the natural fit of, where to be next and where to serve in our community. And my kids are really excited about it because they kind of see themselves as little Narrate Kids director assistants anyway. So when we go to pick them up at Narrate Kids, they don't want to leave. We usually stay a good, 10 minutes into the next gathering because we can't get them to leave. And so, again, like, another great indication of, like, they love where they're at, and that's because of the people that are serving them. And so it's really exciting to think about serving alongside a great team that already exists in Narrate Kids, but also to get on with, like, the vision of what they have and to create a really great experience for the kids and families and new families that come, but also for my kids. I mean, to be serving somewhere that is something that's a big part of what they do is, wow, like, I'm blessed. Like, to be able to even have that opportunity is pretty awesome. I was lucky to stay home with my girls all the way up until this past year when they went to kindergarten. And so this has been, like, a big transition year of kind of what Jessica was talking about. Like, they're, like, getting off and doing their thing, and I'm trying to just let them slowly become who they are, but also reconnecting myself to, what my path is that I need to be on. And so I just feel like this is a great opportunity for us to, at times kind of meet together and be on that same path in something that they're really excited about too. So there are a lot of wonderful things happening in Narrate Kids, and I'm just excited to work with the team that already exists that's super solid and just find out kind of what their vision is too for Narrate Kids and how to make that happen. And I know Hannah has some questions, so I'm just going to stand here until she comes up here.
Okay, I'm
Thank
coming.
you.
Okay, we have like 2 minutes, and I would like to ask you a question. What are you most excited about, or what are you looking forward to in your new role leading Narrate Kids with us?
I think, I have spent some time volunteering at Narrate Kids and do ushering usually, so I've kind of taken myself away from that because I spend so much time with kids. But now that I won't be teaching and so direct, I'm really excited about connecting with the kids that are at Narrate Kids and with all the volunteers and getting to know everyone. That's a big part of that. And then just serving, like, I love Narrate and the community that's here. And so being a part of that in a different capacity to serve is pretty exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah. Will you help me thank Heather, Jessica, and Tiffany one more time? What a great morning. I'd love to pray for us really quickly before we head out. God, thank you for the morning. Thank you for all of the knowledge and wisdom that these three women brought to us. Thank you for the blessing that they are to their families, our Narrate family, and our community of Helena as well. God, I just want to recognize, too, that for some people this day is not a day of celebration, but a hard day. And so just please comfort the minds and hearts of those who are struggling today. We thank you for our moms, and thank you, God. We love you. Amen. All right. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you next time.
If you would like to engage further with Narrate Church, you can find contact information online, www.narratechurch.org. We would love to hear from you.